is up, and then yeah, same as per usual. Just be a minute or so. I'm looking for something to talk about.
Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
We smack this one.
Crashing the party. Check this out.
Yeah, I like the spot you're holding here. Tis a good idea. Okay, little bit of shield holding up, right? So we went over Ryan last time, and then have we gone over him? Yeah, we went over him a little bit before that. Yeah, so we mainly last time was the main one we went over him, but I imagine we went over shield usage, right? And shield usage, generally speaking, don't want to be holding it up for random spam. So here, for example, right, when they're pushing in, and you can kind of do a third person go, okay, do we have many people with us? Okay, we got an Ana.
Oh, where's Hanzo?
Hanzo
I thought he was behind me.
is there.
Oh no! That's
Right.
why I was holding it.
Yeah. So even if there's a Hanzo there, you probably still don't want to be hard shielding unless, for example, you could say exceptions, because the reason why is because Hanzo can still spam here while using cover without being in threat of imminent death, right? Now that maybe changes if it's like a Widowmaker staring at Hanzo. So you would shield until he has time to get the cover or something like that, or while he's dueling the Widowmaker. But here we're kind of just holding it up when us, we could probably just run around the corner and then we'd be perfectly fine. So like we could just be right here and not need to hold shield, and that saves us on some of our shield.
Yeah, there's sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Look to just hold that corner a bit more, right? You kind of want to stay glued to it a little bit. You want to like kind of let them push through because they have to come to you, so you want to do your best to play off of the corner, because then you can kind of basically swing where you are using cover like the whole way through, right? So they would look something like this, where if you are playing the corner correctly, you can go over to a corner, right? And you can swing on the corner like this, and you can kind of peek in and out of it, and this means that you basically have cover this whole time. Or even if you're trying to just stop their advancement, then and they have to come to you, they have to come through, then you can just swing around this corner and just look how nobody can actually even see you around that corner, right? So you can kind of go in and out with your swings here, and really you're taking a lot less damage, whereas what you're doing is you're on the corner, and then you're pushing out to here, and then you're backing up to the corner, and then you're pushing out to here, and then you're backing up to the corner, right? So
okay.
might want to stay a little bit more glued to it. Not in any and all circumstances, but just there, probably be a good idea.
Now entering. Ready for battle.
Heal up.
One. Defend objective A.
Alright. So we got purple and rocked. Just gotta be careful in watching for those. Watch swinging too much, right? So basically have it on your mind and the expectation that once you start swinging, what can't you do while you're swinging? Shield. So Ana and Sigma, in their minds, once you start swinging, what can you not do to their abilities?
Block anything at all.
Block anything. So you can probably expect that once you start swinging, that they're going to try to sleep and rock you, right? And that's going to happen again and again and again and again. So what you can do is start swinging, do 1-2 swings, and then shield, expecting the abilities, or at least keep your eyes open and watch for the abilities. And then once you block the abilities, then you can go back to swinging, right? That sort of idea. That way you are not getting rocked and nated. That can help you keep you alive here. Because then we're just 1 HP, we kind of have to back up.
Take your medicine.
Yeah. This looks like it probably is already lost.
I think I tried to play hero. I did.
Yeah, so, watching the fight, because if you're taking a look around you, then the fight looks like that, right? So it's a 6v4, right? Which just means that you're this is like most likely already lost fight at this point. You're also pretty spread out. They have the superior positioning. You have to push the point. That's stuff like that. So you might just want to be backing up in the first place, especially now. Yeah, you just get back to your teams. Good idea.
Objective lost.
Yeah.
Stop the payload.
Okay. Good idea to back up. I like it. Yeah. Right now we're just waiting for them to get through.
Ready to deploy. My ultimate is ready. You're powered up. Get in there.
Uh-oh. Backing up a little bit while we're nanoed, and then besides that, yeah, we get slept again. Thing that's possibly something we talked about last time, but make sure that you are intentionally thinking about what things on the enemy team do you need to block. Is that something we talked about?
Yeah, and I'm having
Mm,
a really hard time with it. It's
mm,
like I'm trying to really focus on awareness. So I'm always trying to tell myself, focus, focus,
mm,
focus, watch the kill feed, and then the next is the abilities. And it's so hard for me, especially as Ryan, to try to keep track of like nade, rock. Where's
mm,
the widow?
mm.
Who's behind me?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things to keep track of. So getting to work on them one at a time definitely is just the way to go about it because there is so much to do. And then once you do start to work on it, then it becomes easier. You don't need to think about it as hard. But yeah, definitely like that's one of the issues we're running into here. So we're just getting slapped and rocked and needed and all that stuff, and then that's no fun because then we're not able to do anything when we get nanoed here. So looking to just keep your eye out for those abilities is going to be the way to go to look to stop that from happening. Nice. Pin. Okay, at this point in the
Where's my
fight,
team?
yeah.
Oh no, we talked about that too last time.
Yeah. Yep. So here we can see it. We can see it in multiple places, right? We can see it in kill feed, right? Reinhardt just killed Ana, and then we can see it in front of us, right? We see Reinhardt kill the Reaper right in front of us, and then we can see forwards here that they kill the hog, and you see it in kill feed. We can see it just around us as well. Additionally, I might also recommend against Shattering when you're 3 HP, because if Sigma or Reinhardt had done 3 HP more damage to you, then you'd be dead.
I didn't even know I was that low. I think. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I think I was just pissed.
Let the dragon consume you. The checkpoint.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Put,
shield.
yeah, exactly. Putting up shield, popping it up there, not letting it recharge. Did he hit them? No, we blocked it. Alright, that did not look as though we blocked it, but we blocked it. Alright. Yeah, I mean, like, that looked like it went through, and then we got it. No, I guess we got it. Alright, Bastion's rolling around the corner. Let's see. Looking at team comps here. Alright. Yeah, Bastion's looking as though he's being left a little uncontested. Nice pin. Really good.
Oh,
Swing,
no,
swing.
Trace.
Yeah. Go, 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 go. Possibly could even pin that right there. Honestly, probably could pin that there. Get the kill real quick and then you can run out. Oh, Reaper's feeding.
I wanted to pin so badly.
Yeah, so you're being tempted. Alright. So we in the past we've gone over No Man's Land and choke point usage, yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So typically when it comes to cart, so like this is gonna be relative to kind of where they're holding, because like notice how there is this no man's land and 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 this choke point and this no man's land and this. So it goes the whole way. So it might be confusing. Well, which one should I be in the back of? Right? Like which one should I be holding? Because here if you're holding this, well then yeah, you're at the back of the no man's land. The question becomes, should you be holding this no man's land? Or should you be holding this no man's land, right? Or should you be holding both, right? That's kind of the problem, the question that comes up. So there's a couple things that go into it. Well, firstly, for example, you can look at it and go, okay, well, we also don't have any of our teammates up with us on this corner, so that's going to impact it. Do you have your team? If you're up holding here, and let's say this was the right scenario, it now becomes the wrong decision because our team's not with us, right? Um, Now let's get into objectively which would be the right decision. Um, I would probably say you want to be holding where cart is for the most part. So that would be therefore on this corner. If you had more poke potential on your team, which you guys don't really have too much, then you can maybe poke them and then back up and then, and stuff like that. But you don't really have that, so you might as well just start back here at that point. And the reason why you want to hold on cart rather than all the way up here is because there's less cover for you to hold from, right? So notice how like if you're right here, they have a lot more space to kind of push up through, but if you look at cart here, if they try to push you, it's almost like cart makes too many chokes on either side. So there's a little bit, it makes it a little bit harder for them to push through and win the fight if you're contesting cart in that sense. It also prevents C9s from happening if you're holding on cart. Yeah. Additionally, here in the situation, you have to back up pretty far to if they push you right, and they're doing this wide wraparound. You have to back up through this no man's land. Whereas here you have probably like a little bit of an easier backup than this, right? This doesn't give you a lot of it. This doesn't really give you an easy backup. Here you have like kind of if they push you, they can't really do like this really wide angle. And when you back up, you have this slope that helps you out. You have you can kind of back out this way and they can't see you. You can back out this way and they can't see you. Um, Overall, in this situation, I would probably say that rather than holding up on this corner, you want to be holding back at this corner. Um, and then that can probably help you from just getting rolled here in the situation, holding back on cart. Generally speaking, just try to follow the cart around that you're holding on cart. If cart is if cart's like right up here, then sure, go and hold up there. Or if they are coming around this first corner, then sure. But not if cart's all the way behind you.
You mentioned poke. What would
Mhm.
a poke comp look like? Like, what would be on my
Yeah.
team?
Have we ever discussed all the different team compositions before?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Would you like to?
Sure.
Alrighty. So I'm gonna send you a picture real quick over on Discord. So when it comes to the game, there are three primary team compositions that have always existed and probably will always exist, and even into Overwatch 2, most likely here. And then it all compositions have mainly been like variations of these. Um, so you have dive. That have you heard of that one? Or have you heard of here? You have dive, brawl, and spam. Have you heard of the three?
Dive, yes. Brawl would be like everything close together. So Reaper, Ryan, Brig, Moira, things like
Hmm.
that.
Yep.
Dive would be dive on and call a target, anything that has mobility.
Hmm.
And I guess spam is anything like it'd be Junkrat and Pharah.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're naming spam characters.
but that's all I
So
know.
yeah, sure. So we'll go into them a little bit more. So you got Dive and Brawl. Spam is long-ranged characters in a long-ranged composition. So a very popular one because it was meta for a very long time was double shield, right? So Orisa Sigma. That is a spam composition because you're running really long-range characters and your goal is to spam them to go pew pew bang bang and just do it as much as possible. Now, how these compositions operate. So, again, because you're asking about spam, so that's going to be tanks such as Orisa, Sigma, Roadhog are spam tanks. DPS, you have Pharah, Junkrat, long-ranged characters. So you have Soldier, Widowmaker, Hanzo. You have Ashe, right? Are all spam characters. And then support you can, and then a couple more as well. And then supports you have Baptiste, Zenyatta, and Mercy are the main spam ones. So that's spam comp. Now, how do they operate? So dive compositions, they're pretty standard in how they play. If you are diving, in a lot of cases, you're just starting off far away. You're diving in close. That's very standard of dive. And then your pacing of the fight is typically, it kind of depends on what kind of dive you're playing. You can play a hard dive, so if you're all going in all at the same time to try to get a kill, then you just go in fast from the very beginning. Then if you're not running a hard dive, then you're gonna start off slow. You're going to do what you call soft diving. You're gonna kind of poke around, try to find opportunities. Once you get opportunities, you get kills, you get ultimates, then you can get more and more aggressive and go faster and faster. Brawl and spam, they are very easy to understand how they work, but also very important to understand how they work. A brawl composition is a close range composition, and therefore they want to play very, very fast, because if you do not play fast and then you just take a bunch of damage where you can't do any damage back. They shoot you, you can't shoot them. So you want to get on top of them fast. The more time, the more damage they do. Spam comp is the exact opposite of that. They are very far ranged characters, so the further away they play, then the more damage they get to do for free, which means they want to take the fight pacing very slow, because the longer the fight drags out, the more time they have to shoot and go pew pew bang bang. So you can see this, for example, if you're running like a Soldier versus Reaper, right? If in a 1v1, if Reaper gets in on top of Soldier, Reaper wins. If Reaper takes a really long time to get there, then Soldier wins. If you start off really far away and you stay really far away, then Soldier wins. If Reaper's able to get in close really fast, then Reaper wins, right? That's how that works. And that's how the compositions themselves work. Hybrid is kind of when you're running nothing too much in particular. Out of the three, it's a little bit more in the middle. It is not inherently a negative, but it has a negative connotation within a ranked environment, because in ranked it's a lot more deathmatchy. It kind of everyone's running whatever. But in like a team setting, there are hybrid comps. For example, one of those might be like double bubble. If you've heard of double bubble.
But think Winston and Czar.
Yes. That would be a little bit more of a hybrid composition. Um, so that, there are hybrids that can work out. So when it comes to figuring out which one are you on, you have to keep in mind firstly that each individual character can apply to multiple of these. So for example, you can have let's pick a character. You can have a Lucio who is really good in a brawl, is kind of meh to okay in a dive, and then is bad in a spam, right? So each character is gonna be good or bad at, to a varying degree at each of these. And then if you have 4 characters who apply to a certain composition, then that means that you are that composition. So if you have 4 dive characters, you're a dive. If you only have 3 dive characters and you're 3 brawl characters, well then that means that you're kind of like a brawly dive, or brawly dive hybrid, right? You're kind of just in the middle somewhere. You're not really running a particular composition. Does that all make sense? Any questions there?
No, it makes sense so far.
So going back to the game that we're in, right? If we were a poke comp with longer range, well, then we could poke here and actually do stuff. Since our composition's not really a poke, then that means that it's almost not really worth it to be up here if we're not going to be able to shoot them at all, and when we should probably just wait back here, if that makes sense. We should just wait for them to come to us rather than if you're on a poke comp, you can do damage here and then back up and do damage here. Here, you have to wait until they get all the way down to you, and then by the time they get all the way down to you, now that's the only time you can do damage, and then by this point you're in bad positioning. Does that kind of track a little bit?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, currently, just to check to see if you're tracking on what compositions are here. What composition would the enemy team be on?
Let me see. They got 1 spam, 2 spam, 3 spam. So I would say hybrid because it's 3 spam, 2 brawl. Oh
Three.
wait, plus the Ana. So I think it's spammy.
Yeah. So, Ana is not a spam character.
Oh,
Ana is a brawl character. She is good in a brawl. She is good in a dive. Or sorry, let's say this. She is really good in a brawl, really good in a dive, and then she is kind of meh in a spam because she doesn't have a lot of abilities that her abilities are not able to be landed at a long range, and then she also does a lot of burst healing, which isn't necessary for long range engagements. Also, in spam compositions, oftentimes you don't have as many good targets to nano. So Ana would be a brawl character, and once again, remember that multiple characters can be multiple things. Here you're on Moira, who's brawl. Sigma, who is best in a spam. He is a spam character, but also like a little brawly. He's like he'd be okay in a brawl. So it's Moira is brawl. Sigma is spam slash brawl. Ryan is brawl. Bastion spam. Widow spam. Ana is brawl. So I would say in this scenario, if we were counting it up, it's 1, 2, 3 spam, but then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 brawl. Which would make us a little bit more brawl heavy with some spam with some spammy elements, if that makes sense.
okay. Yeah.
So when we're counting that up, even though we and then, for example, like you could say like, okay, well, Ana also works in a dive, but dive doesn't even come to play here because there's no other dive character, so you won't even really need to keep track of that at all. But when I'm counting through there, notice I came to a total of 7 because I split Sigma in half there. Okay. So in our team with that same thought process, what would we kind of be on here?
So let me see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're brawl.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4 brawl. Hanzo's okay in a brawl because he's flexible, and Hog is met to okay. Both Hanzo and Hog are met to okay in a brawl. Hanzo's better if you have his Zarya, especially because then you can do Craft Dragons. So yeah, you're on a brawl, right? 4 characters equals brawl, and then once again, maybe with a little bit of spammy elements, but which composition seems to be more spammy?
Theirs.
There. So what does that tell us a little bit? It's not incredibly big of a difference, but what does that tell us a little bit of how the ranging and pacing should be if we're comparing our two compositions?
I'm not understanding like how we should play versus how they're gonna play.
Yep.
I guess we would definitely make them come to us, and then I have to be very cognizant of like where they need to go, so I can adjust accordingly. Because I can't throw my hammer at them or anything.
Yeah. You want to comparatively, your team is going to want to play closer. Your team is going to want to play faster. They're going to want to. There's still a brawly comp, so they're still going to play close, but they're going to play a little bit further, a little bit slower because that's how their composition operates, and that's just would be your team comp preferences. So you might be coming to the question, okay, in your head. I mean, let me know if this is not the case. Why would if we're trying to play fast, why would we be positioned back here?
So we can just explode around the corner with full resources.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You pretty much got it. It's like you're just letting them come in. You're not gonna sit here and poke them for an hour. You don't want to do that. You draw them in. They have to come to card anyways. You draw them in, and then we engage when they get close, because then that means that we let them come to us, and then we engage versus have us having to run this whole distance to get to them, and just being in bad positioning that whole way across.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Heal up.
Okay. E Easy way to track shatters is to compare your own shatter charge to their shatter charge. So, you can think to yourself, right? When was the last time he shattered?
A while ago.
A while ago. Would have been back. Yeah, it would have been like all the way back here. I believe, right? I think yeah, he shattered a really long time ago, right? He shattered like all the way back here, right? Um, right. So he shatters all the way back here, and honestly, I guess this makes less sense, right? But we're 40%, right? So we know right now that when we get shattered, he's gonna be roughly 40% behind us if we're doing a semi-equal amount of stuff, right? If he goes and does a ton, well then you know that he's not gonna have it. Why don't we just talk about this in a similar way? When it comes to, so that's one way that you can do it. You can compare it to yours, right? You can say, okay, um, he used it right now. I'm at 40%. If we're doing similar amount, he's gonna be getting it 40% after me. Right? That's a rough way that you can do it. So that you know to be expecting it. That helps especially if like you're like if you guys use it at the same time also. Now, another way to think about this is the fact that most ultimates in the game come back every other fight, right? That means that you ult one fight, another fight goes by while you do not have ultimate, and then that next fight after that, then you get your ultimate back. So you're going to get your ultimate every 2 fights for the most part. Now you can get it faster if you do a whole heck of a lot, and you can get it slower if you're not doing anything at all. But roughly speaking, most ultimates in the game you get them every other 2 fights, right? So here he shatters, okay? That fight ends, this fight happens, I guess that fight ends, right? Then let's see, is this the next fight here, and then right, and then this is the next fight. So here he actually gets it back really, really fast, right? Because it was kind of a little bit more, I'd say a longer fight. It was a little bit more dragged out of a fight. So that's the case where he does get it within that one fight time frame. And Reinhardt, if he's brawling and doing a lot, he can get it every fight. So that's another thing to keep track of. A way to keep track of it is like, when was the last time he used it? If he just used it last fight, then you might not even be able to expect it. Here, honestly, that's a little bit hard. You would have had to know that he was doing a ton, because he got his ultimate before you got yours when you were already 45% ahead of him. Which means that he just did a lot that last fight. Okay.
Oh, team.
Yeah. So how many, like, roughly how long do you have before you have to touch?
You probably could push it. How slow is it? Does it go faster with more people in it?
Yes, it caps out with, it ramps up speed, 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, and then that's it.
Probably could have waited another 3-4 seconds, I think.
Yeah, honestly, probably could have been like 5 seconds if no one touched, right? Because this right here is the distance around, like, from the corner, right? So 5 seconds ago, notice how it went from there to here, right, with no one touching it. That's like, so there to there in 5 seconds. So you probably have another 4 seconds, 5 seconds, if no one's touching it. So therefore, take that time, because you want to give your team time to respawn and regroup, right?
Oh,
Okay. Sleeping Reinhardt, he's nanoed. What have we said in the past? Have we talked about target priority?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Should I have just gone to the back line and pushed past him?
Yeah, probably should just run past him. He's gonna sleep through most of his ult, through most of the nano, right? Look at, there's Ana right here. He just run past Reinhardt, start swinging on these guys, right? But notice how we wake up the sleeping nano Reinhardt, and then that means, and we're already purple as well. We're at a disadvantage player-wise, so this is just all around like a bad decision to be waking him up in that scenario. And then we do run past, and then if we had, one more swing there, we kill her. Alright, so now retake a look because it's a new round. Usually it's a good idea to take a look at team comps every single round because team comp dictates play style like we discussed. What comp are we on?
Let me see. It looks like hybrid because you got. I forgot what Hog does, but I think you said I was mostly a spammy comp. Let me see. Widow's long range. I think Junk's long range. Lucio's Brawl. So hybrid. We are at least.
Yeah, so you have basically, right, looking at your comp, you are mostly a spam with some brawly elements now. So it you could say hybrid, right? That's a word you can use, but I would say it's kind of like it's a brawly spam, right? Is what you're getting out there. Because Junkrat is, for the most part, he's a good spam character. Or sorry, let me rephrase this. He is a spam character, right? But he's also a good brawl character. You have Widowmaker who's spam, Ana who's brawl, but then she works okay in a spam, right? You have Lucio who's a brawl, Roadhog who is a spam, Sigma who's a spam slash a little bit of brawl, right? So you have spams. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 spam characters, and then if you're looking at the brawl side, you have 1, 2, and then if you have that half on Sigma and Junkrat, that's 3, right? So it's you're looking at a little bit more spam with a little bit of brawl. It for the most part you're pretty much correct. It's a spammy brawl is what you're looking at there. Which is going to be, in comparison to last round, is gonna slow down our play style. Now, let me give you a little bit of a, I guess, warning. I don't think this is the worst comp that you could be running for this, but be careful when it comes to running spammy brawls, because spammy brawls are among the worst compositions that you can run in the game.
Oh.
Because you are coming in and you have 2 different play styles, and those play styles are what to each other? Are they the same? Are they different? How different are they?
You said spammy and Brawl. Yeah, quite different. One
Yeah.
wants to be far away. One wants to play
The-
fast and close.
They are complete opposites. So if you are running a half and half, that means that you are pretty much tearing your team in two, right? You have half of your team sprinting in and half of your team is backing out, right? So you can look at this comp, right, and go, okay, who's running in, right? Okay, you don't have anybody running in. You don't have your tanks running in. Your tanks are going to be sitting back, okay? So no one's running in. So Ana and Lucio, right, are your main brawl characters. Well, then they're just going to get less value sitting there, right? Your support lineup is just made much worse because of the composition that you're on right now. And that could mainly come down to your supports probably want to swap comps, right? They probably want to be on a different thing. But Lucio is going to be doing absolutely nothing if he's just sitting there, right? Because what is a main core component of Lucio's kit? Speed. And you guys are sitting, so you're just sitting back far away and just going pew pew bang bang. Then Lucio just becomes worthless, right? He should not be on Lucio right now. So that is, you can try to help coordinate your team to that extent. And mainly here, I'm just letting you be aware of that and have that head knowledge of how the team comps should be properly formulated. Because this just isn't a wonderful team comp that you're on right now, particularly because the supports are going to struggle to have as good of an impact, really, is the main thing here. Very nice. Okay. What's wrong with this shield right here?
I don't think it's doing anything. I think I was trying to shield from heals, but I don't think it did anything.
Yeah. Usually, So you're trying to shield, like you're trying to split their team in half. Is what you're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Usually I wouldn't try to do that with a Sigma shield because it's uh, like you can do that. Really, the only shield that primarily does that is like a monkey bubble when you're leaping in on top of the backline. But you can think of it like this, right? You're going to shield Ana. How long does it take like Ana to get around that shield?
A couple seconds max.
Yeah. And are you going to be able to kill Reinhardt in that time?
No, he's full health.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a Moira there too.
Yeah. So in this scenario, that can be a little bit different. For example, let's say Anna's right here. Right. Now, does that become a little bit different in what that shield's doing?
Could force her to drop down or have to walk all the way to the left or up to the right.
Yeah. If you shield her off, this shields off her entire angle. She can't do anything. So she either has to drop, in which case you just recall shield, and then she's off high ground, right? Or she has to, like you said, go all the way over here or all the way up here. So that's different, right? So I just be careful about how you're using it to cut off their backline. It also might be slightly better as well if Reinhardt's like 1 HP, right? That might be slightly better as well if that's the case. But you just gotta be careful about it because we also probably want it for ourselves while we're pushing and being aggressive because here we just kind of toss it into them. Okay, additionally, pacing wise, what are we doing right now? Or aggression wise?
Oh, I'm going full tilt.
Yeah, we're kind of running into them, and then as we discussed, that's not really what we want to be doing, right? Not especially if we're talking about in comparison to them, right? Because on their team comp, what are they on for the most part here?
Let me see. Oh, that's Brawl.
Yeah, Brawl with some spammy elements, right? So it's primarily Brawl, little bit of spam mixed in there. So therefore, we want to be playing slightly slower than they want to be playing, right? Especially if we're comparing like you can also think of it this way as well, that in a lot of cases the tank lineup has a little bit of it. The tanks probably when it comes to determining team compositions, the tanks probably have the most say over what team comp you're running, and the supports have the second most, and then the DPS kind of the third most because the DPS are probably the most flexible. So think of it like this: if you're running 4 Brawl characters and both of your tanks are spam characters, then who's pushing?
Oh, nobody.
Nobody. So now you have. So that's just a composition where you can, where that's where you can see clearly that the tanks have a big impact on kind of what you're running. So here, both of our tanks are spam characters, and then they on their team have you know, a a brawl, and then a kind of third spam, or sorry, a third brawl, right? So they have a more brawly tank lineup, which makes them more brawly, we're more spammy. That's some more nuance to add in there as well. So overall here, probably want to be backing up, playing far, playing slow, drag it out, right? You're waiting for picks, you're waiting for damage to be pumped in there, for ultimates, right? You're just looking to take it slower than this right here. Because notice how we just immediately get punished for it, right? We're dead immediately, right?
Yeah.
And then that's not because that's just because we just played too aggressive, right? Which just doesn't work with our kit. If you're on Reinhardt, that might have been different. That play wouldn't be too bad on Reinhardt. Man, old Bastion looks weird now.
Oh yeah.
New Bastion is so fun. That's why I was late to get to this. I was playing New Bastion with some friends, and I'm like, oh snap, I have coaching. And I just immediately left the game and left voice chat.
Oh
Alright.
shoot. Well, thanks.
Yeah. Alright. So here, once again, what's kind of... So right now, this is, once again, a little bit aggressive. Now, you can push more aggressive here on Sigma, especially if you're at a big advantage. But the issue is that we're low HP. We're pushing kind of 1v3. Not in the terms of fight, Not in terms of the entire fight, but you can kind of go, okay, this right here, if you're taking this snapshot, we're taking a 1v3 mini fight, right? Not in the whole fight, but in this sub fight here. This is a 1v3. So we're pushing in 1v3. We're below half HP here. And then that's really the main parts here. Is it just getting a little close and a little aggro. Notice how you're also sprinting in and standing on top of them. As Sigma, that I mean, like, especially since you're low, you don't want to be doing that. And then also you're not really using shield as another thing, right? Where you could be, in this situation, all we have to do here is just shield from here, and we can do the same thing, right? And that's the beauty of Sigma as a character, right? Sigma is not Reinhardt. Reinhardt can't sit here and do it. If Reinhardt sits here, he can't do anything whatsoever. He has to push to do things. Sigma, you can shield here, take no damage, and shoot them perfectly fine. And you can shoot Hanzo from here, right? And right now, I think a lot so far in this first half is the problem is that we're playing Sigma like Reinhardt. And the two characters are different, and you need to kind of understand the differences between the two. That all making sense?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So every time you get on a new character, just look to think through, like, kind of like, try to do a mindset change of, oh, I'm on a different character. I should be playing like that or this or whatever. That way we're kind of getting into a little bit of a mindset change. All right. Drop your shield if it's not doing too much, because it's not really doing too much at the moment.
What was that equation again?
Alright, it's just kind of existing on point there.
Barrier won't hold together.
Nano boost is ready to deploy.
Oh.
Enemy in my sight.
Barrier no longer exists.
Okay, watch how we put up barrier here and then aren't really using it too much, right? So we kind of plop it up, and then we kind of ignore it and leave it up, and then it just kind of breaks and goes down. Okay, I like they were playing a little bit more pokey here. That's good. Probably want to be looking to flux. Yeah, that's good. Great ult. Good job getting a lot of people and looking for a lot of people with that. You might find more value out of rocking Moira here, right? Because she's ulting. That's something to consider. I think there we might have accidentally missed it on the Bastion because we kind of hesitated. We're like, oh, that's an ulting Moira, so we kind of pulled to the left a little bit. That's a possibility.
Cannot be stopped. Barrier is about to break. Condition restored. This pattern.
No.
60 seconds remaining. This will heal you.
Okay, watch out, we're leaving shield up again, not really using it. Okay.
Poor practices. Barrier no longer exists.
Okay, so this fight we're going a little bit more towards the point. I'm often noticing that we're kind of getting distracted by the sides of the fight a lot. Where, for example, in the past like 2 fights or so, we've kind of gone and chased after the Bastion a lot. How easy is it going to be for you to kind of 1v1 the Bastion?
From experience now, like, not good at all unless he's where there's teammates with me or he's really low.
Yeah. And then additionally, a lot of times he's also had, like, another support there with him additionally, right? So when it comes to your gameplay, right? make sure that you're looking to stay on the same page as your team with who you're shooting at and who you're fighting, because we're very split from our team in a lot of these fights. We're going after completely different characters, and then we're just not killing anything. We're not helping the team out. So what that means is that if everybody on your team is all tickling one person each, right? Then nobody really dies unless somebody pops off and does a lot. But if all 6 of you look at one person, then that person dies very fast. And then you can look at the next person, and they die very fast because you have 6 sources of damage being pumped into one single thing. That's the beauty of focus fire, and that's why if you ever have listened to like professional callouts, right? If you're listening to like Overwatch League or something of the sort, and this is what I did in like team scrims and stuff like that, is that the comms will sound like this, where you're going, Ryan, Tracer, Bastion, loose. That's what comms sound like, is because you're intentionally, as the entire team, focusing one single individual. Once that person's dead or whatever, then you swap targets. Here, every fight so far, we've kind of been wandering off towards the side and then shooting, like trying to kind of 1v2 and then not really killing anything. Does that make sense? Probably look to focus what your team is focusing and look more towards the primary main fight in the likes, because we're kind of chasing off to the side and then not really doing anything with that.
Yeah,
No,
makes
that
sense.
makes sense. All right, glad it does. Okay, so here, getting Sigma.
On the objective, gather at this
Okay.
position.
Notice how you're running towards what distance from the Reinhardt?
Right in his face.
Right. So what's Reinhardt's distancing from people?
That same distance there, right to the face.
Yeah, right to the face. And then what's your distance from people?
At least, what was it, like 7 meters or something? 8 meters.
Yeah, your distance as Sigma is 20 meters on your
Oh,
orb. So Reinhardt's is like 5 meters. Sigma's is like 20 meters. So you can have like a 15-meter range where you can be literally here and back and be safe, right? So if we pop up a shield and just sit back here and poke at Tracer and Reinhardt, this might actually be a winnable fight, especially if your Reinhardt comes in and helps duel them, right? You can help. You're taking a lot less damage because you're being less riskier, and you're also not like kind of sprinting into them here. So we're not utilizing shield too well, and we're also sprinting into Reinhardt, right? Is the main thing there. Okay, would be an excellent time to be soaking up damage anytime throughout this, right? So, for example, here, when we turn around this corner right here, look at how much damage gets pumped through this, like tiny little choke here. If that's orb, look how fast shield goes down. That's already like a 250 damage. Fire strike, look at your health bar, look at shield. That is a lot of damage that just got pumped in this tiny little corridor. If you grasp that, that is a lot of health that you're getting, right?
okay.
And you want to be grasping all this damage, because what is kind of the stage of the fight at the moment?
Escorting the cart to the through no man's land.
Yeah, that's not really a stage of the fight. I wouldn't really call that. In a fight, you have multiple stages. You have you have the in between fight stage. You have the kind of the scouting phase, right? Kind of checking out where their team is. You have the poking phase, where teams are shooting at each other from a distance and trying to do damage. You have the kind of engagement, where teams are engaging each other. You have these, and right as at that engagement, the fight starts. Then you have like kind of, you can break it down even further. You have like early. I'm kind of even breaking these stages down, right? You have, because engagement you can just see is the start of the fight, right? Then you have like early start of fight, you have mid start of fight, late start of fight, and then you have early mid fight, mid fight, late mid fight, and then you have late fight, where you have early late fight, mid late fight, late fight, right? You have basically, you can just break it down like that. To make it very simple, early, mid, late. So then you have the end of the fight. You have the conclusion, and then you wrap back around to, and then you have staggering, but then that wraps back around to in between fights. So once again, to simplify that, you pretty much have in between fight, poke, start a fight, mid fight, late fight, in between fights again, right? And that cycle repeats pretty much for the most part. So right now, what stage are we at?
Early fight.
I would say that right now you guys are in the poke phase of the fight, because you guys, the primary way that you can tell when the fight has begun is the engagement, right? And right now the engagement is yet to happen. Engagement means that Reinhardt and like that, basically they're like in on top of you guys, right? And that's really when the fight starts. It becomes a little bit more vague between the two if like both teams are on a like spam composition. Then it becomes a little bit more vague when it starts, but especially when you're running like a brawl, the fight begins when both of those Reinhardts start clashing, pretty much, for the most part. Other indicators could be when skills start to happen, when ultimates start to be used, um, like primary large team distancing to each other, right, is another thing. Right now, you guys are poking at each other. So, we can probably assume that there's going to be like, right now I could say maybe 5 seconds until the fight actually starts. So if I go 5 seconds ahead, we tired actually, that sure, fight started in that time. We actually tired. They spread out, they back up because of tire, right? Tire could maybe be indicating of start of fight. That's still mainly poking, right? Fight starts. Even late, it's fight. Yeah, so that fight is now. Look at the team spread. Okay, fight has started at this point, right? You could maybe say like 2 seconds ago, fight started. Tire is used, pulse is used, right? Ultimates are being used. Then look at the teams; they're very much intertwined at the moment, right? Their teams inside of us, we're inside of them. That is the start of the fight, right there. So, if we're thinking through that, we had plenty of time to get in 2 grasps during that time, right?
I remember one. I think that, what is it? 5 seconds on grasp.
Grasp is like a 10-second cooldown, I think.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. So here you probably have 12 seconds. Actually, looks like. You have probably, and we actually we do grasp here, and by the time it's actually needed again, you have grasp again, and then additionally it sets you up with a lot of health for the start of the fight. Long story short, we just spent a long time talking about that, because we kind of got into fights there, but really we probably want to be grasping here because that starts us off with so much HP for the start of the fight. We do get a lot there. We probably could have maxed out on it, to be honest, just if we used it a second before. That all makes sense. Any questions there?
Nope, not yet.
Alrighty, so let's go through main points, do a quick review, wrap up, all that jazz. Ability usage, shield, don't plop it up and then forget about it, right? Make sure you're dropping it if you're not using it. Make sure you're not leaving up shields for kind of random spam, whenever possible, though didn't see a ton of that. Make sure we're not I'll notice a lot of our shields are going this far out. That's more of a niche way to use it. Most of the time you just tap it, right? You just tap it. That way it blocks more. If we do this, this blocks this one person and not these 2 people. If we do this, then that blocks everybody, right? So might want to consider just plopping in front of you a little bit more often. Grasp, use it when you have a bunch of people shooting at you. Use it early fights so you can get health going. Rock, pretty good. Overall ability usage, kind of around lower end of medium. Ultimate usage, not too shabby. I think it's all 1, and it looked pretty darn good. Shatter, and then overall that really low priority from what I didn't really see a ton on ults. Shatter, I saw like two shatters. One was when we were like 1 HP. Don't ult when you're 1 HP. Don't ult when you don't have your team with you, right? Don't ult in between fights. And then also the other one I think got blocked. So just shatter usage maybe needs some work, but I didn't see like a ton, and we didn't talk on it a ton. So low to medium priority, somewhere between that. Ability usage, shield, right? Don't put it up for nothing. Shield hop when you're engaging and disengaging fast. So that's that. Charge and fire strike looking good. Overall, medium, lower end of medium priority for you to work on. Then you have mechanics. My Reinhardt does mechanics. Sigma. We didn't really talk about mechanics with his orbs, right? So really, not. We didn't even touch the category. Shoot what your team is shooting. That's part of it, right? Shoot. Make sure you're not just kind of going off on your own. Shoot at what your team's shooting at. Besides that, positioning. Make sure that you are using cover. That you're playing at your proper ranging, depending on your character, right? Sigma, 20 meters on your orbs here, so you probably want to be hovering around that 20-meter mark, which is 20 meters is kind of where you cross over to mid-range, right? So, actually, I think that 20 meters, I believe, is actually direct. So here we're doing, I mean, you still do damage from 23 meters, right? Something like that. So look to stay within that range, right, on people. And then Reinhardt, right? Look to get close. Don't play Sigma like Reinhardt. Utilize No Man's Land and chokes, right? Hold at the back end of them. Hold where cart's at. Overall, that one looked more like a medium priority. Or Sigma especially, it was higher. Sigma it goes higher. Make sure you're playing your range. So overall medium. Maybe Sigma goes to like high end of medium. And then finally, you have awareness. Awareness, pay attention to your surroundings, right? What's happening in kill feed? Where's my team at? Get him Reinhardt, check behind, check behind you with your shield. Make sure before you're engaging, you're looking, do I have my team with you, right? Before you're pushing, where's my team at? Where's their team at? What's happening with my health? Who's won or lost the fight? Team compositions, right? My recommendation, press tab in between every single fight of the game. Gives you a lot of info to work with. It tells you, did they swap any characters? Did we swap any characters? That will change team compositions around, even in the middle of the game. And then pay attention to team comps and how they dictate your playstyle and all of that jazz. Overall, that probably still feels like the main one, though that is a big category. So don't try to do everything all at once. Maybe get down a little bit. So awareness, number 1. Number 2, positioning. Number 3, ability usage. 4, ult usage. Any questions?
No, not about this. I know because I guess everyone's gonna start transitioning over to Overwatch 2. Should I wait? Because I know to purchase any more coaching rounds from you.
To wait to purchase anymore? I mean, it's up to you. If you get into the, when it comes to the transition between the two, especially like having played it, right? It is a different game it's hard to describe, to be honest. It's not a completely different game. In fact, you should probably think of it more, even though they want to market it as if it's a different game, think of it as an expansion to the game, in the sense that quite honestly, they could have done all that they're doing right now they could have just done a major update to Overwatch 1 with all this, pretty much. So it's not, there's going to be a lot of things that are translatable. In fact, a lot of the characters there's a lot of characters that they just barely tweaked at all. Especially supports are like that. But yeah, there's a lot of differences, but there's also a lot that's the same. So think of that kind of like if you're changing characters, right? Like if you play Reinhardt and then you transition to playing Sigma. Well, yes, there's a lot that's different about Sigma. You have to learn new abilities and new ultimates and his new playstyle and his new how his bullets work and his mechanics, and there's maybe some new things to pay attention to. So there's a lot that's different. But at the same time, it's still Overwatch, and you're still playing a tank, so there's going to be a lot that's the same. So, aggression will stay the same. A lot of awareness will stay the same. You're going to have a lot of positioning that stays the same. You're going to have a lot of general game knowledge and game sense that will stay the same, right? So and then shield management will stay the same between them, right? So there's a lot of transferable things. So all that to say, If you want to keep doing Overwatch 1 coaching, I mean, don't feel like Overwatch 2 has to change that because a lot of it will still be transferable over to Overwatch 2. And then if you do get into the beta, feel free to come to me for some Overwatch 2 game coaching. We can work on some of that. Do know that there are no replays in Overwatch 2 as of the beta as of yet, so you would have to do some like old-fashioned recording, or I could spectate you. Is another option, or you can stream it is another option. Or I mean, probably just spectate because there's only quick play anyways. So I'd spectate you as you play, or you could record it and we can go over the recording. Would be the two options we could do. Does that all make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for letting me take up a little extra bit of your time, and I'll definitely be buying more coaching sessions here. And hey, man, thank you very much. I managed to climb 1,000, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Whoa! I don't know if I mean, off the top of my head, I didn't know that. How high? Where did you climb from?
I think I was at 14 something, and then like I almost hit 2,500.
Oh my goodness! Congratulations, man. Always feels great when students are like that. All right, so that seems about it. If honestly, do you happen to have like, because over on Fiverr, I'm actually able to like post that along with your order. If you gave me like a before and after screenshots of your climb, do you have like a previous season or something of that sort?
Yeah, I took a screenshot right before we started.
Yeah, right. That sounds good with me. So if you could just send over is that already over on Fiverr?
Not yet, not the new one, but I can
Okay.
definitely leave a review, and I'll put the should I put the screenshot there or just send it?
Oh
to
no, you can send the yeah. So if you could send it before and after, because I can crop them together, and then I'll upload that along with the order.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
All right, I'll go do that right after here.
All right, sounds
thanks
good.
again, man.
So yeah,
Have a
I'll
great
get you.
day.
Yeah. So I'll get you your notes and recording, and then after that, go over, mark the orders delivered. You can mark it as complete. After you get me this stuff, and then yeah, feel free to come back for more. That seems like about it. One last thing before you do head out. On kind of the topic of your friend, the suicide. I'm a Christian man, and I believe in the power of prayer. Would you mind if I prayed with you over the topic?
I mean, I do appreciate it. I mean, if it'll help, but I'm a prior vet, and that's not really how I deal with things. But I do appreciate the thoughts. Like, if you want to put him in your prayers and like help out, that I appreciate that. But I feel very uncomfortable doing it.
All right, sounds good with me, man. It's up to you. I do very much hope that you feel better, and good luck with your gameplay. All right.
Outstanding. Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.